Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge from a galaxy far, far away. I'm En Fuego here, and I welcome you to Enfuegotainment, my namesake program, for the third day. That is day 10 in the 12 Days of Crimbus coverage that I am doing. And this is a review that I had been planning on for a while, but since I was a little more ho-hum on this recent LEGO Star Wars holiday special that they put out on Disney+, I was like, okay, I need to give it a few more watches and just kind of let it soak in and maybe find a little bit more of the humor within it, because I found it a little derivative, kind of like, you know, Skywalker Saga, greatest hits sort of situation in a lot of ways. But upon a few further watches, and I've got my little child here with me for the holidays, but yeah, upon further watch, especially by like the third or fourth time, I was much more appreciative of some of the just like deeper bits of insightful humor, and yeah, it's really just a super geek out within my beloved Star Wars universe. And so, just to kind of summarize the plot very briefly, we're back on Kashyyyk, they're making tip-yip, they've got basically, at least initially, all of the sequel trilogy characters there. Rose is there, obviously, you know, Poe and Finn and Rey and so on. And eventually you get just about everybody. Babu Frick and Maz Kanata and Kerry Russell's character, Poe's former flame, whose name I forget. I mean, pretty much everybody from the sequel trilogy shows up. And so, in almost like a redemption sort of situation, because we know Boyega has been very critical in the press as of late about how he was relegated to the side as far as importance after The Force Awakens, when he pretty much seemed as powerful as Rey in that film. And then they're like, nope, nope, Rian Johnson's like, sorry, we're just gonna, you know, kind of sideline you a little bit, and we're gonna make, you know, Mary Ray Sue just, you know, what she became. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy Daisy Ridley's performance. I thought she was great. I thought all three of our main leads, and Kelly Marie Tran actually comes back to voice Rose, and then you even have, because by the end of this thing, everybody from the 9 films, and we even get like a little appearance from our little cute dude here. I mean, it pretty much showcases every major character you could think of from the 9 saga films, and yeah, and obviously Mandalorian. But and where's the Rogue One love, man? That's my personal favorite of mine, gosh damn it. But yeah, so they try to kind of appease the Finn character a little bit, I would say, because Rey is training him, and this does take place timeline-wise post Rise of Skywalker. So, you know, peace has been restored to the galaxy, as our narrator Yoda is telling us throughout, and they're all get back on Kashyyyk with Chewie's family and all of those usual suspects that I mentioned from the sequel trilogy to celebrate. They're making tip-yip, and you know, they're just decorating and all that stuff. Poe is very exaggeratedly just weird and like kind of, he's like crying and all this different stuff, overly emotional. His character was one, at least the way they wrote it here, that I was like, nah, this isn't particularly funny. But yeah, so Rey is trying to teach Finn within the ways of the Force and try to, like, you know, make him into a proper Jedi, and she's getting a little discouraged with some of her teachings. She has the self-doubt creeping in, and she doesn't necessarily know if she has it within herself. But she consults an old Jedi text and finds that on this particular planet, which, man, I just got done watching Rebels, and there are so many planets in this freaking galaxy, and that's like, I haven't even really read an extensive amount of the Legends stuff aside from like the Thrawn trilogy and Shadows of the Empire and stuff like that, so I can only imagine so many names of so many planets and characters and everything. But so she goes to, it's something with a K if I remember correctly, but long story short, she ventures there herself because on Life Day, and I must say, I reviewed the Star Wars original holiday special last year, and I definitely found some distinctive amusement within it, in all of its weirdness. If you've never seen it, it's on the YouTubes, you can find it. It's insane, but if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, or even a casual one, you will find some amusement in it, so seek that out. But so yeah, every Life Day apparently there is this particular crystal that can open a portal, yada yada yada. It's essentially a device similar but done exceedingly better in you know, Rebels, where Ezra is able to, like, he can jump into like different worlds. I had no idea until recently finishing Rebels that they got into interdimensional multiverse kind of stuff in the galaxy far, far away, but they did. And that's pretty much what they do here, but more so just sticking to the time jumping through portals, and that's where the greatest hit stuff comes in. She goes there with BB-8, and she proceeds to start jumping through, I mean, all of the prequels and, you know, beats from, like, I mean, pod races to, you know, just funny little moments with, you know, Qui-Gon and, you know, Obi-Wan, and, you know, then obviously Attack of the Clones with, you know, Anakin being all like just trying to bring flowers to Padme and, you know, Obi-Wan and stuff. I mean, at the heart of this, and it's one of my favorite things that Yoda, without getting super spoilery into this, really nails home for Rey by the end of this, is the importance of just the care and connection and compassion with, you know, a master and a Padawan, and just, you know, just basically the teacher and the student, and how to actually be, you have to have, you can't be so just concerned with like these like physical results and stuff. You need to make sure that there is this mental just, you know, connection and care and compassion, as I mentioned. And I thought that that was really nice thing to kind of just hammer home by the end of this. But yeah, I mean, it's fun enough for that first like third of this, where, you know, they're just jumping from movie to movie, and in turn jumping and seeing little Grogu here and stuff. But I don't really think this gets going and becomes really fun until you have the actual villainousness come into play. And the villainousness is when basically this crystal comes into the wrong hands, or at least comes under the attention of Lord Vader, and Vader jumping from time period to time period and fighting Rey and stuff. That's fun, and that's where they start to crank it up a little bit. But it really gets going when basically Kylo Ren, the Emperor, and Vader are all together, and the Emperor, as he's just like demoralizing and like just being super cruel to Vader the entire time, and Kylo becomes like the new, you know, you're my new apprentice, and so on and so forth. And even though the only people who came back were like Anthony Daniels, Kelly Marie Tran, as I mentioned, also Billy D comes back as Lando, which is fun, if I didn't mention that already. But yeah, all of the rest of the voice work, it's your typical manic sort of Lego. I adored the first Lego movie. I might have liked Lego Batman even more. And this falls into that same realm of parody, yet homage at the same time that you got from Lego Batman. I wasn't as big on part 2 of the Lego movie, and what, Ninjago, whatever the heck it was. That one, maybe I should revisit it, but you know, I just wasn't as into that. And I know they've done a lot of other Star Wars stuff with, you know, just various characters from a galaxy far away in the Lego format. I saw it as I was scrolling through Disney Plus the other day. Maybe I'll get around to at least, you know, peeping some of those. I know they've done a ton of video games, so this partnership, obviously, it's endearing to the little ones and it makes sense. But once we get Kylo and the Emperor and Vader together, that's where the fun really begins. And even right before they get just all the stuff with Kylo in general, man, where Hux comes in and he's like prancing around shirtless, and Hux is like, ah, and he's just almost like taken aback and like, ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la. So yeah, it's funny, man, and just the balance of power and the shifting in that regard, and, you know, Vader feeling passed over, and you know, Kylo remembering because Kylo basically, you know, lets the Emperor know, no, in 30 years you are not ruling, or at least not 30 years. We know what happens by the time Rise of Skywalker comes around. I still wish we could have seen Colin Trevorrow's vision, but hey, rest peacefully, Carrie Fisher. That's unfortunately we did that in. But yeah, it's the funniest and most clever moments in the entire special, in my estimation. And yes, there's amusing stuff back on Kashyyyk with like the blue dude. I forget the blue, almost like, I don't know what you would classify it as, almost like manatee looking thing that was playing music at Jabba's palace, that comes to do, you know, just be the musical act for their little Life Day party, and where Rose and Finn are singing Jingle Bells and Huttonese. Like, that's funny to me. So some of that humor works, but really the most clever and amusing stuff is that trio of villains and just their interactions. It's really fun. And yeah, there is that moment on Tatooine where it's basically like straight out of Ready Player One, where accidentally Rey has been just, you know, taking characters from just about every part of the timeline, and they all have this big rush at each other, and it just reminded me of that big battle at the end of that film. But yeah, once again, just to double down, the funniest stuff in this is most definitely anything Kylo. The Emperor is hilarious in this, man. You know, and just the in-jokes of, you know, if you fall down that chasm, there's no coming back from that. So it's things like that that I find incredibly funny, and also where he's like, you wouldn't betray your master by throwing him down, and he's like, throwing him down, no, and he thinks about slicing Snoke in half. So yeah, man, I mean, it's Easter Egg City. It's definitely very heavy on the fan service, and yet in the same right, I think you could show it to a little kid who doesn't really know very much about Star Wars, and it's colorful and playful and very silly at times, and there would still be merit within it. And at the core, just like with anything Star Wars where it really hits the mark proper, you know, is a very solid, uplifting message about unity and just, you know, as I mentioned like 2 or 3 times already, just care and compassion and camaraderie. So I have been Jaime En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. And you know, a like, a share, a subscribe does mean a heck of a lot. I've already done coverage of tons of Star Wars stuff, all of the main films, you know, both of the spin-off films as well, and lots of the books and comics and various things. I just finished Rebels, as I said. I'm going to be doing a full-on video just discussing why I love Rebels and also why I love Clone Wars, because in the last year, I had never binged either of those shows, and I did that within the last year, and I had an amazing time just seeing how they expanded upon and, dare I say, improved upon some of the stuff that Lucas already had put in place. Mandalorian's amazing. I've been reviewing that episode by episode since the season 1 premiere, and as of this filming today, yes, we're just a couple away from the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian, so you can look forward to that. And boy, I just realized I didn't give this a rating. I'm definitely going to say 4 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs for this. This is most definitely, it's a ton of fun, and I feel like it will definitely grow on folks as, you know, you watch it more and more. You'll catch some more of those just rapid fire references and things of that nature. So yeah, 4 out of 5. That means it is certified Fuego in my estimation. But if you like stuff that is of the fantastical variety but a little more spooktacular, you got to jump over to youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, just like you see spelled below. That is where it's basically my main YouTube gig, and this is my side project where I get to cover nerdtastic stuff and, you know, dramas and comedies and things of that nature. But at the main destination, it is a 1 episode a day scenario where we do everything from film reviews to trailer reactions, video game let's plays, unboxings, you name it. A little bit of everything under the scarific sun. So check that out if you feel inclined. And that's going to be the end of the proceedings for today, everybody. So I extend a grande gracias. I will see y'all mañana for the next installment of the 12 Days of Crimbus. And yeah, check out the previous reviews if you're inclined of Happiest Season and Fat Man. Those were the first 2 that I did on days 12 and 11. So that's it, peeps. And until the reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you for spending a little bit of time with me here today in the holiday season, regardless of what you prefer to celebrate. I hope we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later. And until then, stay home and watch more Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars!